Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted for the programme this evening, because it's evening for me, to be joined by Matthew Haines. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me and for sharing with us today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this and this conversation. It's going to be great.
Thank you. Now, what Matthew's going to be actually sharing with us is Ark-Healing, a sovereignty-based modality. But let me introduce you a bit more fully to him. Matthew is a gifted medium, healer, author, and visionary, the creative force behind Ark-Healing and his higher self to higher self readings. His extraordinary spiritual journey, which began in childhood, has inspired him to pen his latest book, The Emergence of Light, which is a journey beyond the limits of the mind, one that reveals the true nature of reality, fear, and the light within us. Matthew, thank you for joining us. Please share a little of your story and how you come to do what you do.
That's a long answer, so I'll try and keep it down. I don't want to fill up the whole 45 minutes, So my oldest memories of spirit were from when I was 2, maybe 3 years old, and there was this really horrible spirit at the top of the stairs in my grandparents' house, and even the adults were aware of it, and they would run past it, and dive off into the kitchen or into the lounge, or if they were going upstairs, they'd bolt past it as well. And so me and my sister, one day, we decided we were going to have a competition, and this was my idea, as who could get the closest to it. Okay, so a bit balmy, and I managed to get. I got like halfway up the stairs, and I started encouraging my sister, and then she just went into a flat-out run. Now I could feel. I think I was lucky enough that I was so young, because I didn't really understand what fear was. I could feel it, and I could feel the projection from this thing that was at the top of the stairs. And I managed to force myself against it, and I carried on up the stairs. But I made a mistake. Like when you're 3 years old, not really such a thing as a mistake. But this energy gave me permission to sit on the step down below it. And that really started my life learning about empowerment and disempowerment. Because at that point there, even though I didn't know what I was doing, I know I disempowered myself, and I allowed that being to have its presence over me. So this happened, just carried on happening. I had so many different spiritual experiences with spirits turning up and talking to me, and there was a lot of negativity around it, because around me, in particular, when I got to the point where I started developing mediumship. And so the mediumship wasn't until probably my mid-30s that I actually started getting involved. Now I'm 51 now, so I started getting involved in learning to be a medium. I had a natural ability anyway, but when I was up on doing the platform mediumship, I found once again that my energy system was getting really dirty, and I was getting lots of negative thoughts going on in my head, and what was referred to as attachments, and these were negative attachments that were feeding off of me, and nobody really knew how to get rid of it. And I was, that was in like the spiritist churches. Nobody really knew how to do anything about that. And the ones that did have some sort of idea, they would say, "Oh, I'll get my guide to come in and they can get rid of these things for you." And I said, "Well, who's your guide?" And they go, "Well, he's a doctor or this or that." And I'm like, "Yeah, but who are they?" And nobody really, this. I'm not saying this is there's a right or wrong in this, really, but it seemed to be that people would allow things to happen to them and not really go into detail about what was going on around them and who the people were, And I know, like with myself, I knew the guides I had. I actually proved who they were, to myself. I was able to find them. Whether or not it was trickery and things just being dropped in your head when you're getting this negative stuff going on. And so I found that I had no choice whatsoever. So I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't trust any beings that are coming anywhere near me. So I told everybody to go away. All my spirit guides, any being that was working with me or trying to work with me, I told them to, in no uncertain terms, I told them to go away. I slammed the door shut and built a brick wall and then put some furniture up against that. It's really, really like that. And so I had to find a way forward. So the only way I could think of at the time was to actually just sit within myself and start looking and start finding out for myself and getting what information I could. And periodically, energies would come in and just say something, which I learned to trust. Because rather than saying, "Oh, you need to do this," they say, "What's your thoughts about this?" About like, for instance, clearing entities, or I'm talking about demons and things like that. Okay, and they said, "So, what do you think you need to do? What's the purpose of, say, for instance, a demon?" And my answer to that was, its purpose is to collect souls. That's what it likes to do. That's their role. They're very linear, and that's what they do. That's it. And so I went through this process of clearing myself and removing these energies that were from my body. And what I noticed was that my mind would drift off into different time zones, and it would go into the past. And I started discovering within myself, like, there's what I refer to as energetic bleed points. Okay. And then these energetic bleed points, I noticed that they were actually in other lifetimes that are actually at the same time as what we are now. So they're also in the present time. And then when I looking further, I could see that these bleed points actually went off into what we would perceive as the future. And so this whole thing was brilliant. It's like a sponge. If you imagine a sponge, the bottom of the sponge is the past, the middle of the sponge is the present, and the top of the sponge is the future. As this energy or these bleed points come through, they create a pinch point. Sorry about that sign. They create a pinch point within your energy field. So if you imagine, like, everybody you've ever had or ever going to have, they all occupy exactly the same space. And with these energetic bleed points, it causes energy to go from one lifetime into another. And the truth of it, the energetic bleed point is actually what we refer to as karma. That's what it is. And so karma. So anyway, before I go into that, that'll come up a bit later because I don't want to ramble on too much. So I had all of these different experiences coming up, and having to clear these energies from myself. That I just started writing it down and plotting what I was doing, and I got really obsessed with it. And then after that, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to go introduce this to other people, see what everybody else thinks about it. And my very first case study, a lady's, this was really profound. This is the very first one, and this is the very first time I really had to deal with a demon, other than what I'd done in practice sessions, sort of thing. And this came out really, really real. But she was due to have her gallbladder taken out, and after the session, she didn't need to have it done anymore. And there's a very specific energy signature that demons use in order to stay connected to people throughout their lifetimes. Okay, because obviously it's a radiant energy our lifetimes, so it goes through from past to future. And they put an energy signature, which is I see it as a semi-physical rod. And unless you remove that semi-physical rod, they can come back in any point in your life. And this is really funny because I've taken her through the session, and which is a guided process. So she's doing all the work, so to speak. I'm just guiding her through and supporting her through the journey. And so she pulled out this semi-physical rod, and the demon presented in the room. And I thought, well, there's no way she's going to pick up on that. I could feel this anger, this fear getting projected at me, trying to scare me off. And he did a good job of that. And she looks at me, she goes, is this normal? And because she could feel it, she goes, I can feel this projection. And then I just talked her through the process on how to remove that type of entity, and it was gone. So Ark-Healing wasn't born out of me setting my way to forward to creating a healing modality. It just happened along the way. But now I look back at my life, okay, these events led me to where I was going, even though I didn't have an active choice within that. But now I've got all, my guides have come back. I'm into mediumship again. That's going really well. And all these things that I'd gone through and cleaning up my energy field means that now I can see, sense, and feel everything that's around me and know whether or not it's positive or negative and what's playing. Because the unseen world around us is, it's always hungry. In one way or another.
Oh no! Thank you for sharing that, because so many people go through things. They're aware of things in their life, and how many children have been aware of things and found themselves being told it's not real, it's not, and to pay no attention to it and know they mustn't talk about it, etc., etc. Yeah. Were you able to talk about it with people, or did you find that you were sort of squashed down for a period of time?
Well, absolutely. I was, but it was only circumstances of time. You're thinking, like, growing up, like, over the last 50 years, so going back 30 years ago, men, when it comes to spirituality, it was a very, very rare thing. And men would go, "Oh, that's just the women. The women do that," And so I was, and I put myself in the box as much as anything else, because, I didn't want to appear that, outside of the men realm, so to speak, if that makes sense. I wanted to, conform in that way, because that's the peer pressure. So when, your parent, your dad's saying, or your peer group is saying it's all women stuff, you kind of just go, "Oh, all right, okay." And I shouldn't have done. It was a mistake. It was a disempowerment, of course, but that's part of the thing. But yeah, so in my family, there were, the women in the family, they would go to, the psychic fairs and do all that, but the men just wouldn't. So that kind of put me down the line a little bit. But I managed to analyze that. But in fairness, when I was about 12 or 13, my dad, he was a complete atheist, didn't believe in any of that. It's all, that's all nonsense. And I said to him one day, we were just walking up to Sainsbury's, and I said to him one day, I said, "Dad, do you believe in God? What's your opinion on that?" He goes, and he just stopped me dead. And he said, "It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what you think." Even though I knew he was a complete atheist, really, I was just asking the question. And that, even though he was that way, and that man, he still helped project me into the future. He helped me find my feet from the perspective of not wanting anything to do with it whatsoever. That was quite magic, I've got to say. It's probably one of the most significant points in my life, really, when I think about it, in all honesty.
Very lucky to have that happen, because I think that happens with very few children.
100%. Yeah.
So Ark-Healing. So how? Obviously, you've shared a little bit about how it started, and I know you're going to share sort of a meditation with us, so people can actually get involved in that, which is lovely. But you got a little bit, because you said it's grounded, it's heart-centered, and you talk about in the write-up about the bleed points.
Yeah.
And that it helps restore and align. So is there anything that you can share that could help people to maybe understand it a bit better?
Okay, so the reason why it used to be called passive state healing. Okay, so the passive part is a practitioner, you don't provide energy. All you do is you simply guide. Okay, I changed the name to Ark-Healing for two reasons. First of all, there was a lady that did some channeling, and she said, "You're building an ark." And I knew that was the name for the modality. And also, people were stealing my work. So that was really cool. So that's kind of a compliment. So all these things were teaching me about empowerment and disempowerment. This is what I whittle everything down. So this is what the essence of Ark-Healing is about learning about when you are empowering yourself or allowing yourself to be disempowered. And when we look at and we go through, the session, and we can go into an alternate life, so refer to it as alternate life rather than past life or present or future. We can see those points in our lives where we've had interactions with, people or places or situations that we've allowed ourselves to either be disempowered or we've disempowered somebody else. So you've got the victim and the perpetrator always playing out on that karmic value. And so having taken people through sessions, so just as an example, so not everybody when they've had a session has been on Earth. They've been on spaceships, they've been different beings entirely, they've been all kinds of different things. So karma runs through the physical reality, in it right up to the finer wisps of it. And there was the lady I took through a session, she was a geometric light pattern that was being suppressed by other geometric light patterns. And so what I discovered when I was doing the case studies, because obviously things get built up, you have a basic and then you build things up, was that actually karma has roots and has roots within consciousness. Okay. So when you're talking about physical reality, the karma is rooted. Obviously, there's karmic, say, for instance, between me and you, Sarah. So there could be a karmic root going between me and you, I'd say, for instance, a past life. And then there's a situation, which is the concept itself. The situation itself has a karmic root within it. And then there's the place wherever it was that we actually had our experience on the earth or off earth, it doesn't matter, wherever that was, that has a karmic root within it. And then you've got the your physical body, your own physical body, where a karmic root goes to, and then into the earth. So in order to, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody, it's not about disrespect. It's my findings about what I do. Is there's people that say that they can remove karma for other people. And in my experience, you can't. You're actually accruing karma because you're creating that. And then through the simple act of forgiveness, you can actually remove the karma. And all you do is a guide person, and they have the visuals, the feelings, see, sense, feel, or just know what's going on. And we can just remove these karmic threads, the energetic bleed points. And like I said earlier on about everybody you've ever had occupying exactly the same space. And you've got that sponge, which is pinch point. That's the energetic bleed point or karma that's coming through and bleeding through into this life. That naturally releases. So they're no longer connected. There's no bleed point anymore. And that's what the removal of karma is really about. It's just that one action through the action of karma. And what really surprised me was how quickly it works. Like I say, that lady, that first case study, she didn't have to have her gallbladder taken out. But one of my favorite stories is about a young guy. So this was one of my practitioners. She had two sons, and they had problems with drugs and alcohol. One of them in particular, he'd been on medication, in hospital, so it's a real hospital medication, real hard, strong stuff. And he developed alcohol as well. And she took him through a session because she was a practitioner, and she managed to help him clear right up to one particular tablet. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really strong, diazepam or something like that. And every time he went out to a party or a rave or whatever they're doing, someone would walk up to him and offer him it, and he had no resistance. It's a bit like us with chocolate.
Yes.
This was a conversation earlier on we're having about chocolate. And he would just take it and just grab it and take it. So she asked me to take him through a session, and I did. I took him through a session, and we got to that root cause. We found where it was. And the next time he was out, someone offered it, and he just said no straight away. So it works, on a mental, emotional, spiritual, and multidimensional level, and physical level, which is quite amazing, really, when you think about it. And even up until recently, even though I started creating that modality 8 years ago, there's still been this thing of empowerment and disempowerment that I'm learning about myself and what's really going on. And I want to give an example, if it's okay. And this really annoys people. It has the potential to annoy people so much because it is a real challenge of belief system. Okay, and I have permission to do this. Not that I ask regularly for permission, but I know I get the permission to do it. And this is a conversation about Archangel Michael. Okay, so Archangel Michael. People will often say, you're driving down the road, you want your favorite car parking space, okay? And they go, Archangel Michael, can you go and get my favorite car parking space? And off they go. And they get there, and there's their parking space, and they go, thanks very much, Archangel Michael. Right? There's a problem with that, okay? Now, that problem with that is that being, by doing it on your behalf, okay, and not encouraging you to use your power, has actually aided you in disempowering yourself, which by default means it's a negative entity. Because there's two Archangel Michaels, because we live in polarity. So you have the positive one that supports you in your action and helps provide the energy in your motion towards what you're doing and help pull in things to support you. And you've got the other one, which is a negative one, which will do it for you and disempower you. And the problem is people don't know which one they're dealing with. And that's a big thing about empowerment and disempowerment. And I know that's, I can even feel it through the screen. It's like a tumbleweed moment. You know what I mean? And when I've talked before, this really, this concept is something that is an issue. Okay. And, please forgive me. I'm not meaning to hurt people. I don't want to do that. It's not that. And so this is the reason why Ark-Healing is called Ark-Healing. It's ARK. It is designed as a lifeboat. And this is to help people recognize that actually, for the most part, when it comes to the unseen world around us, we are encompassed by more negative energies feeding off of us than we are the positive ones. The positive ones will help you see it. They will help you have your experience in order to discover the difference between empowerment and disempowerment, because this is how we decide what we want to be when it comes to the whole of humanity. We have to make that decision of positive or negative, but first of all, we have to know what that is. It's a bit of a cliffhanger bombshell, that one. You know what I mean? People go, and right, so it's a belief system thing, and I don't want to be that way. But when I've done the workshops and taken people through up to practitioner level, some people have had to leave the class because of the effect of the effect it has on them, because there's this cascade effect, and once people start hearing that and they start checking themselves and seeing where they actually are handing their power away, or potentially handing their power away, it floors them. People have had to go out, lay on the ground, leave, come back a little bit later, and there's that going on with it. But the plus side, the real plus side, is when people actually go through the session, they become free, and they can feel the difference, and it has a really direct effect in their lives. And just recently, there's a lady. She's actually quite famous, actually. She's involved in, she doesn't mind me saying this, but she's involved with Strictly Come Dancing. But you got the panelists that are on the TV, and you got the ones that they're on the phones, and they give advice and stuff like that on the show and stuff like that. But she's a really clever lady. She's just doing a second PhD now. But what she discovered, because she's a dancer, she's been a dancer all of her life, and she's an amazing person, amazing character. And she's actually going to a university to help people with Alzheimer's, to bring them back through the action of dance and movement. Okay, really, really clever stuff. And she was getting blocked by this one particular person. And this is in one session, which was about 45 minutes. We sat down and went through a session, and we went through the process and where these the karmic threads were coming from between the two people. And we did the work, or she did the work. I guided her through the process, and 2 days later, she had that job. They offered it, and that's a big deal, but that's how it works, And like with toxic relationships, I don't want to go on, so I can talk this for hours and hours. When people go to me, Matt, just give it a rest. So I can see you're glazing over.
What I love is the fact that you've talked about it. They have to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I can't call myself a healer, because the only person I can heal is me. And this is what you're saying is we have to be involved in our own healing process. Absolutely. If you aren't prepared to be proactive within it, nobody can help you.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. But I don't want to miss out on the meditation that you wish to share, because otherwise we are going to run out of time.
Yeah, I know. I go on a bit, don't I? Yeah.
But being able to share these experiences people have had is really important.
Absolutely.
But you've made it very clear. They are involved in the process, and they have to be involved in the process for it to work.
Absolutely. And just to emphasize that, so one of the things that I found that it drove me in the beginning was one of my friends actually was saying about how he was doing healing, and that he'd had repeat business off of people for like 15 years. I said, well, I don't think it's working then, and I know that's quite brutal. Okay. That's quite a brutal statement for me to say, but what came of that was, after a conversation and sitting down and thinking about it, there's a problem within the healer and the receiver. And when it goes over time, then that person that needs the healing goes to the healer and to receive and doesn't do it themselves. And the healer, through wanting to help, people want to help, it's great. I'm not knocking that, but they more often than not need to get paid. And what happens is there's this symbiotic relationship that develops between the healer and the person receiving the healing. And that, once you get into that symbiotic relationship, that's disempowering. It's disempowering for both people, and therefore it's negative, not positive. So part of Ark-Healing is you're only allowed to have a maximum of 9 sessions. By the time you've had your 9th session, you should be able to do it for yourself. And that's the point. The sessions train people in order for them to have this themselves, to do their own self-healing. Because I'm trying to put myself out of business. That's my thing. Exactly. And I feel that's important, especially in these times now. As we move, and I'm going into the power-free sphere of protection. The reason why it's called the power-free sphere of protection is all. There's different things that we do, different ways we connect to ourselves, but it's all about telling your guides to stand back and moving. Getting you guys to stand back and stand in your power in a sphere where you are protected from both outside and the inside, and the third part is your self-empowerment. Okay, so if it's okay, we'll go into that.
Yeah.
And so a couple of terms that I use. One term in particular is what I refer to as the high-vibrational positive. Okay, so when we do this bit where we connect up into the high-vibrational positive, or the universe, it's acknowledging that actually we are the high-vibrational positive. It's not a separate being or beings that we're asking to bestow energy on us. It's actually connecting with ourselves in our highest form, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the noise okay? Because there is a bit of background noise at the moment. Can you hear anything in the background?
I've heard the odd bit.
Hang on. We got a couple of lodges in at the moment, so an Airbnb thing. Anyway, so I'm just going to ask him just to keep it down.
That's fine. And listening to yourself. That's the important thing to do, is to know that you have to be involved in your own self-healing, your own healing journey. So
sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I've just suggested that people have to be involved in their own healing journey. So we can't do it for you, but we can support you through it.
And this is the same with protection. So what I noticed was when I was doing some of the workshops, I noticed that when I was doing the protection for other people, that there were still entities able to walk around. And so I changed it to go, okay, you need to protect yourself. And that's how this came about. You see it all over the show where people, are doing the big holding space and they do the protection for people. It doesn't work anymore. And I think it used to work, and I believe that was there. But I believe now we're going through this change where we're becoming grown-ups in our energy field, and we've got to start owning some stuff. So it's not a judgment or anything like that. It's just a change that's happening at the moment, I feel. Not meaning to poke people in the eye. Okay. So with the power of free spirit protection, we just start off very, very simply. And it's just a see, sense, or feel that you're breathing in and out of your heart. Okay. So when you're breathing in and out of your heart, what this is doing, this is a centering technique. Okay. This is how we connect to our body. And just allowing yourself to breathe in. It doesn't have to be in any particular way. Just allowing that breath to come in and out. And then what we do at this point, when you're feeling, most people can start feeling a bit heavy, a little bit tingly, especially if people are ungrounded. They've been running around fast all day. But just in this now moment, call back all of your energy to yourself right now. And set an intention that as your energy is coming back to you, it comes back to you cleared, cleansed, and pure. And just feel the weight going into your hips. Allow your shoulders to drop. Allow your forehead to relax. And just allow the lower jaw just to relax a little bit as well. And now, as you're breathing in and out of your heart, just allowing a feeling of love or a grace of gratitude. So a love that you have for something. Allow that love to build up within your heart. So you're going to fill your heart up with that love. It's quite lovely. And then you're invited to share that love with Mother Earth. And you can do that in any way you need to. So just send it out through your body, down through the soles of your feet. And remember this, you and your power. This is where we're building up to. So you share that love with Mother Earth. And some people like to imagine a crystal at the center of the earth, roots come out of their feet. It doesn't matter. It's whatever your preference is for that. But the action is that you're doing that. And then you'll feel Mother Earth sharing her love back. As I'm doing it now, I can feel that coming up through into my body. And I can feel that going into my heart and also filling up my heart with the love that I have, that I put in there as well. And then with your love, you're invited now to send out through your higher chakras, out through the top of your head, through your crown chakra, out through your stellar gateway, out into the universe, into what I refer to as the high vibrational positive, acknowledging that that's what we are. That's what you are. Some people, again, would like to imagine a crystalline structure to give themselves some focus. You send that love up. And straight away, that love is returned to you, the high vibrational positive, the love of that universe, the high vibrational positive is sent back to you, down through your higher chakras and into your heart. It's nice and simple. Just focus on your breathing in your heart. And with those three loves you have in your heart, you're invited now to mix them all together so they become one. Some people will see a color or feel a vibration or just know that it is done. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand that love from the heart to create the outer sphere around us. Now that sphere, if you hold your hands out to your sides, you don't have to do this, but if you imagine it, that the sphere has to go beyond the end of your fingertips. It can go further than that, but it has to go beyond the end of your fingertips. And so we're going to allow that. This is an automatic process. You cannot get this wrong. All you have to do is intend this is happening. But going through the visualization, we're going to expand it out to the front, to the right, to the behind, to the left, to the below, and to the above. And set your intention that is your protection from the outside in. And it's at this point that we say to our guides and our helpers, the ones that are positive, just step outside of the sphere. Okay, this is still safe. You're getting into your power, and those positive guides and helpers will happily step outside. And then looking inside of your heart, there's a tiny point of light inside your heart. Some people may take a moment to see it, but it's a see, sense, feel, or just know. And if you can't see it, just ask yourself, if there was a tiny point of light in my heart, what color would it be? So mine's a silvery pink. It's a bit of a weird color. It's something you don't see here, but I can feel it as that color. But you all have your own color. And then we acknowledge that that tiny point of light that's in our heart is our protection from the inside to the outside. So we're totally protected in both directions. But now we're going to allow that light, that tiny point of light, to radiate, to glow. And that glow is going to fill the sphere of protection we've already created. And it's going to expand out to the front, out to the right, out to the behind, out to the left, out to the below, and out to the above. And it's at this point, this is the third point. Okay, so you've got the outside and the inside, and now we're going to the third point. And this is you acknowledging that you are a powerful being, and you're setting your intention that you are fully protected. And from this point, if you choose to, you can go into a communication with your body. This is actually the beginning of the session. So protection goes straight into the beginning of the session. And this is where a person doing their own self-healing would naturally connect into the body and start asking questions. And one of the lovely things about this, the power-free sphere of protection, is you can do it anywhere. But also as a practitioner, when I'm guiding somebody else through it, I'm also doing that myself. And it puts us in the same place. So we can have the same experience. And that guide, as a practitioner, can now actually be an effective guide within that sphere of protection. And anybody is welcome to use this. I'd love people to share this meditation and help people become fully protected. Okay, of course, I'd like the acknowledgement, because that's how it works. But in this meditation got itself out in the world through other people stealing it, okay, and taking it for their own gain. And so, rather than actually allowing people to monetize it, I decided that I would just give it away free, because it wanted to be free. And then, once you're ready to come out of that meditation, you don't have to do anything. You can just get on with your life. You don't have to dissolve the sphere or anything like that. You can just get on with your daily life. And anytime you feel that you need to do it, you can just do it again and again and again. And one of the things that's been really profound about this is the amount of people that actually, when they take the time to do it, they can get pretty quick at it without cutting corners, because you should never cut corners, okay? But they can get pretty quick at it, and they can do it anytime, and it's having real effects with them. And when think people going through things when they do this, like emotional things, emotions that are coming up for whatever reason, and they do this, it helps them kind of isolate themselves from the rest of the world so they can just process this freely and allow any negative energy or whatever to come out of the body freely. And because we fill that up with heart energy and that spark of light, all and any negativity that comes out of the body is just transmuted straight away. It's quite lovely.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know I sort of work with protection and Mother Nature or Gaia sort of on a regular basis of roots down. And actually I start my own, when I'm offering a session, I invite people to put their 8 roots down and allow Mother Nature to bring up the energy of love and protection through the roots. So I was listening to you and I was thinking,
he's stealing my stuff.
No, I wasn't stealing you. No, because this is the joy. Some people will steal your stuff or will start using your stuff. But other people, so many people are actually being guided to do something similar. I found in a child work, I found the same. When I started doing it, nobody was doing it. Now everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
and I love that because we're not all right for everyone.
100%, yeah, 100%.
What we bring isn't necessarily right for anybody, or it's just our energies that aren't right for certain people. But we haven't got the time to be here for everybody in the world.
Absolutely.
So, and that's why there are so many of us doing so many amazing things these days, because we are here to support as many people as possible along their healing journey and get to the point. I've definitely gone through my own healing journey. I'm still going through it. We're all going through it. It's just that some of us have got a bit further along ours than others. And we're here to support that.
There's one thing, if I can, I agree with you completely. So this information about Ark-Healing, where it comes from, it's not from a being. It comes from ether. Okay, that's what I believe. It comes from ether. And ether is based in truth and intelligence and is seeking to get information out into the world. That's what it's trying to do. So ether, with Catholicism, they changed the name of ether to father. They made it into a masculine energy to distract from it. So that's why things are one-sided. But when you work solely with the ether, it's balanced in harmony. So the communication can come from there. And I do believe that that's what's trying to happen. This, for me, is so important at the moment, that ether is actually trying to balance everything around us at this moment in time. And we're starting to listen. As a collective, individually, we are starting to listen now, and that's really, really cool. And funny enough, musicians have been talking about this for years. With bands, you get an idea that comes into your head about a song. It's acknowledged that if you don't enact what you're doing, that song in your head, it'll go to somebody else. And that's because it's ether always trying to bring in truth and intelligence. That's my step of me.
and it's trusting ourselves. It's trusting the gifts we're here to bring. It really is. And having read Conversations with God, and it's he and she, because it is it's that yin and that yang. It's the masculine and the feminine. And they have an amazing sense of humor. As was said in the book, well, where do you think the sense of humor came from?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So trust the fact that sometimes things come in a way, and you think, there's a sense of humor there. Don't expect things to come as a conversation.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I refer to my guides. There's not so much guides. I call them eye rollers, because I'll come out with something and they go, "Oh, here we go."
We are coming to the end of the program, and this has been brilliant. Thank you so much. And folks,
thank you.
You've experienced that, and you want to go back and experience it again. Go back and experience it again. Sort of until you're comfortable to be able to do it yourself. any sort of guided meditation is something we can find ourselves being able to do for ourselves. And so I've just put your website address into the chat. Folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, please, you'll find the website address in all the information underneath. But Matthew, any final words, anything that we haven't touched on, or you haven't touched on, that you'd like to add before we close?
For me, the whole thing, irrespective of healing modalities or anything like that, it's all about one thing, and it's about acceptance. Okay, it's acceptance of who you are and what you are. My biggest problem that I've had in my life is I refuse to acknowledge that actually, do you know what, I'm a little bit different, and it's taken me a long time to work them out. And when I take people through any session, you know, there is the karmic threads that need to be removed and things like that. The main reason why they're in front of you is to accept something about themselves and accept themselves. And that's all it is. And that's the biggest growth we can do, is make our peace with ourselves. And it's all right. You know, it's all right.
Accept who we are, the experiences we've had. There's a purpose behind them all.
Absolutely.
We can't make a mistake. We can only ever act from the information we have at the time. Then take what's happened, learn from it, use it as a stepping stone to move forward.
Yeah.
That's what life is about, experiencing. And many people like Matthew bring gifts to support us to be able to become the best ourselves that we're here to be. So website down-earth-spirituality.com.
Actually, yes, actually that's just gone through a change. So if anybody wants that meditation for free, they can contact me, if it's okay, just on Matthew, that's matthew.dtes@pm.me, and I will send them any information they want, and I will happily give them send them an email with that meditation on it.
And please, but the meditation is actually here in this program, so you can always come back to
do that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Try to take that then.
Yeah, but obviously, if you want to sort of contact Matthew, so that's the email address that I've got for you, so I can put that. Once you've updated your website, any changes, just let me know, and I'll make sure I update it under the YouTube video.
It all got deleted by mistake somehow or other. All my stuff had got removed. YouTube's gone, the whole lot. So I've been reset.
Oh, bless you. Oh dear. Matthew, thank you so very much. It's been a real pleasure to learn from you.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Folks, please, if there's anything here that's resonated with you and you wish to contact Matthew, please do. I'll put your email address for now underneath. When you're back up and running with everything, let me know and I'll make sure it's underneath. So,
a couple of days. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next week, we've got a today's conversation with for you, part of our Selfish or Harder to Manipulate series with Heather Prince and Mahalia Michael, myself and Scott. I hope you'll think about joining us for that, to do with the book that came out earlier this year. Take care, be safe, stay well. Matthew, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.